Rob Carlson again, continuing with the practice of centering contemplative prayer. By practicing this prayer style, we find from within ourselves an intuitive connection with God by means of focused listening. It goes beyond thinking or feeling. Focused listening happens best when we're off by ourselves in a quiet place like Jesus taught his disciples to do. It's a kind of space set aside so that we might literally abide in God's presence. I'm reminded of Jesus' words from Matthew 11. He said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Focused listening for and then focused listening to God not only helps establish a connection with God, it helps us to give our soul more spiritual expression. As we are practicing the prayer, we're aware of comfort from God's compassion. We find peace from a growing awareness of our purposefulness. And a wellspring of joy begins to bubble up and flow from within us. Anxiety is lessened. Fear is repurposed. Hope is birthed through a confidence that propels us beyond mere wishful thinking. I've used the image of stop, look, and listen for years when teaching about centering contemplative prayer. Stop. First, stop what you're doing and make some space and some time available for God. Stop from the pace, the hurry, the urgency, the almost frenetic positioning that we've put ourselves into. Now, I'll admit it's easy to push back here because we know that we have so much more to do every day and we can never get it all done. We can easily come to believe and say, I don't have the time. But I recall the story of Martin Luther, said to have said that the more he has to do, the more he finds that he needs to engage prayer. Prayer is the difference maker. No doubt he learned his position from Jesus himself. Take the time. Make the space, because it is really worth it. Again, it's for clarity, focus, calm, shalom, or the peace of God. It's generally best to plan our days so that we know when it is that we're going to stop and then stick to it. Thomas Keating said, twice a day for 20 minutes. And if you can't do that, we can find another time frame. Then after we have stopped, we look. It's not only looking for the place to settle in, but it's also about readying oneself to see with different eyes, being able to see and know who we are with God's eyes. Because when we practice this prayer, we begin to see that what it is that God is seeing, what it is that God is believing and hoping, and how it is that God is empowering. We can see God in our moments, and even in the moments of others around us. We see God into the past, we see God into the future, and it's amazing when we begin to notice. Remember that I said that centering contemplative prayer helps us to notice. And when we're noticing, we're better able and more confident to respond and speak to and into these moments, not with any arrogance or any kind of egoic pride. Instead, humility abounds. And that's how we know we're there. And we're more and more honor and respect this kind of time. Lastly, stop, look, and listen. I like to say that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and there's a reason for that in just about all of our relationships. Think about it. Listen more and notice more. Therefore, we can respond all the better. In centering contemplative prayer, we're first listening to, and then we learn to listen for God. Contemplation here is not about pausing to think about God in some way. Psalm 46 reads, "Simply be still and know that I am God." It's about bending an ear into the moment and being still, waiting, taking it in, and honoring what is happening. Being contemplative is about the anticipation of the means of grace, God's self. Being contemplative is noticing, intuiting what it means, and later knowing what to do with what's been noticed. Centering contemplative prayer, an incredible gift from God.